What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. All-star forward Paul George has signed a 5-year, $226 million max extension with the Los Angeles Clippers. Paul George started his NBA career with the Indiana Pacers. He was a sidekick to Danny Granger, developed to become the number one option and number one player in the Indiana Pacers organization, but couldn't get them over the hump in the playoffs as they were bounced by LeBron James in back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. Finally, he decided to move on. He went to the Oklahoma City Thunder to team up with Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony. They had a disappointing first season as they were bounced in the first round by the Utah Clippers and Rookie of the Year, Donovan Mitchell. Now, the next year, they got rid of Carmelo Anthony. And they lost to Damon Lillard and C.J. McCollum in the first round of the Western Conference Finals, 4-1. Dame time. Hit that walk-off three-point shot that put Paul George and Russell Westbrook out of the playoffs. After that, in offseason, he went to the Los Angeles Clippers to team up with the Enigma, Kawhi Leonard. They had a disappointing season too, losing to the Denver Nuggets 4-3 after being up 3-1 in a 19-point lead in Game 5, a 17-point lead in Game 6, and I believe a 12-point lead in Game 7. Lost all those leads and pulled off one of the biggest choke jobs in NBA playoff history. Now he's been rewarded after throwing Doc Rivers under the bus, having personal issues with Doc Rivers and his daughter. I'm not going to go into detail about that situation, so that made it a very awkward first season with the Los Angeles Clippers. Doc Rivers ended up leaving, going to Philadelphia. Paul George got on a podcast and again threw Doc Rivers under the bus. And basically now he's getting rewarded as Los Angeles Clippers ownership knows that they need to have a face of the franchise and have an all-star level player just in case Kawhi Leonard leaves. They can still build a team around Paul George. Now this upcoming season, they've got rid of Montrezl Harrell in the offseason. They brought in Ibaka. They brought in Kennard, who, if he can stay healthy, I think is a very good, underrated, below the radar type of move, man. I think he's gonna bring some good outside shooting, kind of bring in that same role that J.J. Redick brought to the L.A. Clippers, who's a fellow Duke Blue Devil. So they brought him in, and the only thing they didn't get is bring in a point guard, but they've got the point guard that they brought in last year, Reggie Jackson. And if he can handle the point guard duty, he's more of a scoring point guard, but he can run the offense. He's more of a point guard than a Patrick Beverly, who's more of a defensive guard, not a guy that can run the offense. So Paul George, again, 5 years, $226 million as the Los Angeles Clippers organizations make a bet that he can carry, along with Kawhi Leonard, can carry the Los Angeles Clippers to high and huge success and ultimately get that prize, the NBA trophy. We'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires, man. But this was a move that people were not even talking about. It was talking about a whole lot of things involving the Los Angeles Clippers, but nobody really was speculating on will Paul George sign a max extension, $226 million max extension with the Los Angeles Clippers. So he's going to be a Clipper for pretty much the latter part of his career. Maybe he retires as a Clipper. That remains to be seen. But the next domino that needs to fall is Kawhi Leonard, who's going to go into this season and see how it goes. And he can opt out after this season. But I know they're looking to lock him up too. And with the signing of Paul George, maybe that gives Kawhi Leonard the okay and gives him the signal that they're ready to compete and pay what they have to pay to compete for a championship. And maybe he's the next guy in line to sign a max extension with the Los Angeles Clippers. We'll see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But that's some breaking news. Paul George a guy that's averaged over 20 points, and his guys that's been an A-plus defender, has signed a 5-year, $226 million max extension with the Los Angeles Clippers as they, along with other teams, look to dethrone the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about Paul George signing with the Clippers. Do you think it's a good move or a bad move? Let me know your thoughts. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.